On this Memorial Day, there's plenty of baseball to be played, but the most important thing is it's a day to remember, to recall the fallen heroes who fought for our freedom, to preserve our way of life and the liberty we hold so dear. It's a day that reminds every American we must never forget that sacrifice. From Camden Yards in Baltimore, today the Red Sox and the Orioles begin a 4-game series. The Sox in first place on Memorial Day 2016. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Camden Yards. Dave O'Brien alongside my partner, Jerry Remy. There will be a national moment of remembrance in ballparks all across the country at 3 o'clock today. We'll be pausing for that as well. We talk about first place for the Red Sox on Memorial Day, Remdog, and it's big to be in the lead at this point. This greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile, especially where the Red Sox were the last couple of Memorial Days.
Well, that's the impressive thing, the fact that they're 30-20. They won a big game yesterday early in the season. I understand that, but a big game in Toronto against a team that was surging, the Toronto Blue Jays. And of course, this is going to be a great matchup. This 4 games against the Baltimore Orioles, only 1 game behind the Red Sox at this stage of the season. So I understand it's early, Dave. I know that. But compared to where the Red Sox were the last couple of years, it feels good to be in first place.
And Stephen Wright is on the mound today. He's become a very reliable starting pitcher for the Red Sox, a .252 earned run average, up against the lineup that hits a ton of home runs. They're number 3 in the American League.
They are, and he's going to keep the ball in the ballpark somehow. But you see the wins and losses, 4-4. It should be much better than that with the ERA that you mentioned of 2.52, making start number 10 his first start ever against the Baltimore Orioles. He's made a couple of relief appearances against them, and he hopes it's a little bit different than last time out. Last time out, the first part of the ball game, he had a very difficult time controlling that knuckleball. It was blowing all over the place, and Hannigan was back to the backstop most of the game. But the second half of the game, it seemed to calm down and became a much more effective pitch for him. So we'll see how it goes from the start of this game today.
All right, so Mr. Wright on the mound today here at Camden Yards, which of course can play like a bandbox. We look forward to that. This is a beautiful view of Arlington National Cemetery here on this Memorial Day. We're in Baltimore, not too far away, and Camden Yards, the first pitch is coming up next. Baltimore, Jerry Remy and Dave O'Brien, Garen Austin with you. Red Sox coming in after their first 50 games at 30-20. And with a 1-game lead over this Baltimore Orioles team. First of a big 4-game series here. And as you can see, the players and the umpires are wearing camouflage caps today to honor our soldiers. As we salute all those great men and women who have served or are currently serving in the United States military, our deepest thanks to you. And an outstanding crowd expected here today. Pretty close to capacity. We had 3 huge crowds in Toronto over the weekend. The Red Sox able to shake off Saturday's brutal loss and eke out a win in 11 innings on Sunday. Time to look at the starting lineup. It's brought to you by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Mookie Betts will lead it off. He's in right. Dustin Pedroia at second base. Xander Bogaerts at short. David Ortiz back in there as the DH. Jackie Bradley Jr. in center field. Hanley Ramirez is out of the lineup today. He's resting. Travis Shaw at first. Blake Swihart at left. Ryan Hannigan catching. And Marco Hernandez will get the start at third base. Up against right-hander Tyler Wilson. He's 2-3. ERA of 3.80. Right-hander out of the University of Virginia.
The Orioles defense is brought to you by DraftKings, and they have not played very well recently. They're 11th in the league with 28 errors in 48 games. Ryan Flaherty will be at third base. Manny Machado, the shortstop. Jonathan Scope at second, and Chris Davis, the first baseman. Left to right, Hung-Soo Kim, Adam Jones, and Nolan Rimo, and Caleb Joseph doing the catching for Wilson.
Here are the umpires. They're brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. It's Laz Diaz behind the plate. Corey Blazer at first. Doug Eddings at second. Jeff Nelson at third base. We're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas tardes, amigos.
And the weather very comfortable right now. Brought to you by Benjamin Moore, the official paint of the Boston Red Sox. 79 degrees and somewhat cloudy, some sunshine as well, as the Sox and the Orioles get set for game number 1. Great to have you with us today. And Mookie Betts about to lead things off against Wilson, who is not overpowering. Got a sinking fastball, slider, and a changeup.
Second time he has faced the Red Sox. The other time was out of the bullpen at Fenway Park earlier this season. Just a couple of innings in that game.
Yeah, Sox dropped 2 out of 3 to Baltimore at Fenway back in April. And lately have had trouble winning here. They have lost 7 out of their last 8 at Camden Yards. Mookie settles in at 273 with 9 home runs. And the first pitch of the day is in there for a strike, and we're underway.
Now, strange, the infield got the shift on Mookie Betts, as we can see. 3 men on the left side.
And Wilson's 0-1. Mookie had fallen into a 1-for-21 skid before a triple in the 6th inning yesterday. That woke up the Red Sox at that time dormant bats, and it led to 3 runs off R.A. Dickey, who had no hit the Sox for 5 1/3. And he takes one downstairs.
The breaking ball that time at 77 miles an hour to Mookie Betts.
Wilson made his major league debut just last year. He's 26 years old. As Jerry mentioned, he did so as a reliever. The 2-1. And a ground ball, base hit as he goes the other way. So they shifted all the way around to the left. He beats it to the right.
Yeah, I think even if they had been normal position, that ball was hitting a spot where it was going to be a base hit anyway. But with the shift on, there's no question about it. Chris Davis not all that far off first base with the 3 men on the left side, and Betts able to find that hole at second base to pick off the leadoff base hit.
And it'll bring up Dustin Pedroia, hitting .308, 6 homers, 24 runs batted in. Just having a steady, healthy season right now. Not really in the spotlight. I think he loves that.
He really loves it, and it's been, he's been hovering around that 300 mark like just about all season long.
In for strike 1.
Here's that little cutter right there that you'll see from Wilson.
Xander Bogaerts up next. Red Sox winning yesterday with Clay Buchholz getting the win in relief out of the bullpen. With a scoreless inning. His first relief appearance in 8 years.
And after the game, just about the whole Red Sox team over congratulating him because they know what he feels like right now with taken out of the rotation. And yesterday had a chance to participate and do something to help the ball club.
Get the feeling an important win for the Red Sox yesterday. Obviously avoiding a sweep, avoiding a 4-game losing skid, but to beat Toronto there and the way they did it because of what happened on Saturday, which was such a devastating defeat.
Yeah, you know, and you start getting one of those tailspins. You lose the series up there. You come into Baltimore, very good ball club you've got to play, and you don't know what's going to happen. I think it changes the mindset of everything just by winning that game yesterday. A tough win. See how Betts goes.
He is a perfect 8 for 8 on the season. We thought yesterday he might run a little bit when he got on twice, and the Red Sox decided not to run him.
Yeah, I'd like to see Mookie get a little bit more aggressive. You know, he's probably got the green light at first base, so that means he can go when he wants to go. Always gets himself a very good sized lead at first base.
Pedroia had the biggest hit on Sunday, an RBI double in the 11th inning to put the Red Sox in front. There he goes. Hard ground ball to short. That's Machado, who's at shortstop these days with Hardy out. And that kept the Red Sox out of a double play.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, he's got too much speed to be stagnant at first base. And by running there, he keeps the Red Sox out of a double play. It doesn't look like very much. There's contact made, but if he's not going, this is probably a 6-4-3. Instead, the Red Sox have one out and a man in scoring position.
So the batter will be the red hot Xander Bogaerts, hitting .351. That is #1 in the American League. And he tops baseball with 73 hits. Trying to get the Red Sox in front here in the first inning at Camden Yards. And the first one from Wilson. He starts him off with a breaking ball.
Yeah, slow curveball that time, and actually a pretty good pitch to hit, but I don't think Xander was looking for breaking ball on the first pitch. Kind of a little floating curveball that drops in for a strike. Didn't do very much.
Xander running his hitting streak to 22 in a row, tops in the majors yesterday, and he slices that one foul. He went 1 for 6 in that game. That doesn't look too good, but he saw a ton of pitches.
He really did. There was a stretch in that ball game where Red Sox hitters were really putting a lot of pressure on by seeing a lot of pitches, and Bogaerts was involved in that.
One long at bat after another. You see where he ranks. All of those categories in the top 5. Ortiz on deck, one away. And a little dribbler, a swinging bunt. The catcher spins, throws, and really made the play. But no one at home plate. Here comes Betts, and he is in to score. You talk about alert base running. Mookie Betts steals a run for the Red Sox here in the first inning.
Now, Dave, we've been talking about this all season long, the way the Red Sox have run the bases, and they have been very, very aggressive. Now, you got 2 guys going for the baseball, nobody covering home. First of all, for Joseph, that's a very good play. But Betts alertly sees nobody's covering the plate, and he comes in standing up. Now, there's the play at first base. No question that he is out. Bogaerts is out. But the fact is, watch home plate. It's fake it. The pitcher's there watching the play, and Mookie Betts sees that. He can beat the play at home. Nowhere to throw the ball. Brilliant base running by Mookie Betts.
Was it ever? And Bogaerts gets an RBI on that. As Showalter is out to talk with Laz Diaz. And David Ortiz hoping to get in and swing now with the bases empty. Red Sox ahead 1-0. I think Showalter is maybe asking about that being a foul ball by Bogaerts.
Well, let's take another look at contact from Xander. Ball tapped down. Ooh, maybe it is. It might have been off his foot.
Wow. It looked like it was off his foot there.
Yeah, and the umpires are going to check with each other now and see if anybody saw the same thing. But it did look like maybe it hit the front foot of Bogaerts, and that would be a foul ball. If it's not called, it remains a brilliant base running play by Mookie Betts.
I think the play is going to stand. Now, officially on replay, they can review outfield fair or foul.
Well, you saw one of the umpires go into his pocket and pick out a card. Now, that wasn't the lineup card he was looking at. That might have been what the rules are, just to double check whether that can be reviewed or not. Let's take another look. He tops it. Well, if it didn't get his left foot, it bounced directly over the top of it, that's for sure.
Well, that looked like it got his foot, didn't it?
And a lot of times when that happens, you'll see the hitter immediately, start to limp like it got his foot. And there was none of that from Bogaerts. He just took off for first base.
Now Showalter has had his say, and that play is going to stand as a run for the Red Sox. So they can't go and look at that under a challenge. He was trying to convince the umpire at home plate, Laz Diaz, I guess, to go take a look, and nobody else saw that. None of the other umpires concurred with Showalter. So the Red Sox have the lead 1-0, and here's David Ortiz with 2 down. Regardless of that, whether or not you think that was a foul ball that caught his foot, that is some piece of base running by Betts.
That is so heads up, and that's something that I think that he saw on his own. Nobody covering home, and he knows he's got the speed that he can beat that pitcher at any time, especially where the pitcher was.
David Ortiz back in the lineup. He was hit on his left foot by a pitch on Saturday, a play that he struck out on. X-rays were negative. He didn't play on Sunday in the Red Sox 5-3 win in Toronto. David was working the crowd before the game, signing a lot of autographs, getting huge ovations here. There's always a lot of Red Sox fans here at Camden Yards.
And you got to give him the green light in this ballpark. But he hasn't come close to Ortiz in the first 3 pitches.
He's hitting .339, 13 homers. He leads the majors with 46 RBIs. And the 3-0. Taking all the way.
He might have had it, but he didn't want to swing 3 balls, no strikes, because there was nothing close to a strike to him.
Mookie Betts describing his base running to Dustin Pedroia, who's all ears. The 3-1 and a check swing that'll miss for ball 4. I remember opening day a couple of years ago when Mookie Betts went flying around the bases, stealing everybody blind, and he's one of the most exciting base runners in all of baseball.
He absolutely is, and he's not only fast, he's smart. He's got the ability to not have to use a coach. He can make those reads by himself. And Butterfield talks about it all the time. He feels that this club is one of the best base running clubs that he's ever been involved with.
Jackie Bradley stepping in at .333, 8 homers, 36 RBIs. With 2 down, big swing and a miss. He's looking for Utah Street. One thing that the coaches talk about, and Brian Butterfield and Ruben Amaro, they talk about impact base running, because the Red Sox, the guys who do run frequently, are so athletic and go first to third so well and can steal bases at such a high rate without getting caught. Those are impact plays. There's smart base runners who are slow. Jason Varitek was a really good base runner. Mike Napoli was a really good base runner.
Yes, very good at going first to third.
But didn't make quite the same impact as these guys like Mookie Betts. And Wilson with a 1-1. Socked to center, dead away, but right to Jones. That ball hard hit, and that'll be out number 3. But the Red Sox grab the lead here in the first inning. 1-0. The Orioles coming up. Dealers, and it'll be Adam Jones to lead it off in center. Hyun-Soo Kim in left. Manny Machado now the shortstop with Hardy out. Chris Davis at first. Trumbo, big home run hitter, the DH. Scope at second. Reimold in right. Flaherty at third base, the man from Maine. And Caleb Joseph is the catcher and batting ninth. Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your New England Audi dealers. It is Stephen Wright. 4-4, a 2.52 earned run average. He's tied for 5th in the American League in ERA.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, 4th in the league with 25 errors in 50 games. Marco Hernandez at third base, Xander Bogaerts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, Travis Shaw the first baseman, Swihart, Bradley Jr., Benson the outfield, and Ryan Hannigan doing the catching for Stephen Wright.
You go back to Wright's last 12 starts. He has an ERA of 2.45. That goes back to 2015. It's the 6th best ERA in baseball over that span. Adam Jones hitting just 232 as he gets in with 5 home runs. And the first knuckleball sends the crowd into a tizzy. Jones went cold on their just completed 9-game trip. He only had 7 hits in 37 at bats. And the 1-1 from Wright. Right there for Hernandez as he digs it at third base and gets him. Fans, be sure to stop by Plain Ridge Park Casino. Plain Ridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning.
And we mentioned, Dave, that this is the first start for Wright against the Baltimore Orioles. Has made a couple of relief appearances in his career, covering a total of 5 2/3 and 1 earned run given up.
Hyun-Soo Kim, their left fielder today, hitting .383 as he gets in. Only about 50 at bats. Hit his first major league home run on Sunday. The South Korean import had a miserable spring training, and it looked like he was going to be a bust. But he's come on lately with a 5-game hitting streak.
Sees a fastball on the first pitch from Wright.
He said through an interpreter after the home run in Cleveland, he said, "I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't looking to hit a home run right there," because he's been a home run hitter. Hit 28 in the Korean baseball organization last year, and he comes up empty on that swing. Red Sox in the lead 1-0. Machado on deck. He's having a great season. The 1-2.
Might remember the last time Wright pitched, it was against Colorado, and Hannigan was just going back to the backstop on almost every single knuckleball. It was dancing all over the place early in the game.
2-2 dropped, and that is ball 3. Yeah, he was exhausted by about the 3rd inning. The 3 pass balls, a couple of wild pitches. He actually became ill. He had to leave the game. The 3-2. Fly to left, slicing a bit. Swihart on the line will make the catch in fair territory.
You know, we talked about Swihart in our view from the booth today, and it's amazing to me, Dave, how easy he's made left field look. I mean, you know, it's so smooth that he gets great jumps on the ball. Now that's a ball off the bat of a left-hander that's going to slice away from him, so he knows he's going to have more ground to cover. He does, and he's able to make the play. So that's a great jump and good coverage.
Terrific play yesterday in Toronto.
Yeah, that took extra bases away. That was big.
For a double or a triple. Here's Machado at 320. 13 homers, 29 runs batted in. J.J. Hardy is out with a fractured foot, so he has moved from third base over to shortstop. Pretty darn good there, too. He's tied for first in the American League with David Ortiz in total bases. He is 9th in hitting, number 2 in doubles, 7th in on base percentage, 5th in homers. And big Chris Davis follows him, the 0-2. Here comes Wright, easy play, and an easy inning for the knuckleballer. He gets him 1-2-3, 1-0 Red Sox after an inning. Fact, Travis Shaw has played in each of the team's last 104 games, dating back to August 6th of last year. According to Elias, the longest such streak by a Sox player since Adrian Gonzalez played in 105 straight games from September of 2011 through July of 2012. Twisted tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. Travis Shaw to lead things off, 299, 7 homers, and 35 runs batted in. As he takes a fastball on the corner. I was watching a game with Adrian Gonzalez, the Dodgers, having a nice season, got a big hit in the victory over the Mets yesterday. That one fouled back. And Jerry, I can almost not remember Adrian Gonzalez in a Red Sox uniform.
Yeah, it wasn't a real pleasant stay here in Boston for him.
No.
It was not at all.
Now he was a little banged up, but underperformed. The 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Blake Swihart on deck. I think that's the best way to put it. An unhappy stay.
Yeah.
I thought he would tear up Fenway Park. Did not happen to the degree some of us expected. Fouled back to the net again.
Again, they got that shift on Travis Shaw, and they're really pitching him away in this at bat. Every pitch has been to the outside part of the plate, hoping he'll hook the ball into the shift.
Shaw 1 for 5 with a single on Sunday. Ripped a 2-run homer on Saturday against Toronto. And a 1-2 from Wilson. Hammered foul. Red Sox facing the right-hander from Lynchburg, Virginia. He went to the University of Virginia not just to play ball. He got his degree in biology, and he wants to become an orthopedic surgeon when his baseball days are done. His nickname on the Orioles is Doc. And that fastball will miss. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. And he cuts and misses. Down he goes for strike 3. First strikeout for Wilson.
Goes to a breaking ball. Looks like more of a slider this time. And left a little bit high in the strike zone. Actually a pretty good hit pitch for short a hit. But no contact on the high breaking ball that time as he goes right underneath it.
Sends up Swihart, who is scuffling at 220. No homers, 4 runs batted in. Certainly not scuffling in the outfield. He's one of the guys that a couple of the Oriole broadcasters, when they were getting a rundown on the state of the Red Sox, came over to say hello, and they wanted to know why Swihart was playing so much left field. Because they only knew him as a catcher.
And we told him it was none of their business.
And asked them to leave immediately. And Jim Palmer looked at you like, man.
Yeah, who are you? You never hit me.
But he's looking so comfortable out there. Here comes the 0-2. And he lets it go. It'll be Hannigan up next. Hannigan has been having a neck issue along with a hand problem, so he's really beat up. That was a good fastball and maybe a bit of a generous call from Laz Diaz, but back-to-back strikeouts from Wilson.
Yeah, that's the kind of strike zone pitchers would like to see all afternoon. I mean, this ball's a good couple of inches off the outside part of the plate, but called a strike, and it's one that is not even really tempting to swing at because it's so far outside.
Red Sox had some beefs about the umpiring over the weekend, especially after the Saturday game when it was down to 3 umpires. Here's Hannigan hitting 190, no homers, 8 runs batted in. He's talked about that neck problem, which has required a lot of attention. He also got hit on his left hand by a pitch recently, so wearing a lot of bruises. And he got sick during the last game. No wonder he did with all of that running he did back to the backstop with that knuckleball going everywhere.
Now, it was a warm, kind of humid night at Fenway Park, and he was all over the place with that catcher's gear on, chasing down that knuckleball back to the screen. And
1-1, little dribbler. Wilson pounces on that, lobs on to first, and the side is retired. So a quiet inning for the Red Sox after Mookie made some noise in the first, and after 1.5, it's 1-0 Boston. By buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Subaru Retailers of New England, supplying award-winning all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England. DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. The 2017 Kia Sportage. Visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Teams with a bit of a different look with the uniforms, and for more on that, let's toss it down to Garen Austin.
Thanks, OB. Well, in honor of Memorial Day, the players are wearing camouflage on their uniforms. I talked to several players in the clubhouse, and they said they are very proud to wear the camouflage, especially Blake Swihart. Blake's brother Jace is an Army veteran who served in Iraq. In the offseason, Swihart got a tattoo as a tribute to his brother. Swihart told me that it meant a lot to his brother, but guys, he said his dad is not a big fan of tattoos, but even when he saw the tribute, even he teared up.
It's like a lot of dads, I think. But Blake is wearing that proudly. You can see it right there on that left arm. In honor of his brother. Chris Davis, the batter. Red Sox in front 1-0 here in the second inning. Davis with 10 homers. A lot of swings and misses, of course.
He struck out 66 times on the season so far, but does have those 10 home runs and 28 RBIs.
And a 1-2 from Wright. Cut on and missed, and down he goes, strike three. First K for Wright here this afternoon.
A very good knuckleball that time, under control within the strike zone for Stephen Wright. You can see the dance, the movement on it. Couldn't be handled by Hannigan, but just drops close to him, picks it up, and tags out Davis to get the first out of the inning.
Alexis is making a pledge to strike out hunger for every K by a Sox pitcher. Alexis donates $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. Mark Trumbo stepping into DH today. He's hit 15 home runs, and he sails that one foul down the line. He's tied for first in the American League in home runs. He's fifth in RBIs.
Red Sox shift on him in the infield. They put three men on the left side. Pedroia over to the shortstop side.
The one strike pitch. Quickly 0-2. Like Joe Kelly, Trumbo was born practically within sight of Angel Stadium in Anaheim, California. Had some big seasons for them in their minor league system before they brought him up. He's knocked around a bit since then, but he's found a home here. Another one Hannigan really had to lunge up for in a count 1-2. The 31-year-old from California with a 1-2. Swung on and missed. He gets behind Hannigan, but not very far, and he'll throw to complete the strikeout. So unlike several times in the last pairing between Hannigan and Wright, this one barely got outside of the batting circle.
Yeah, it seemed like it hit Hannigan in the leg, and that kind of slowed it up. Let's take a look. That's the late movement on the knuckleball, dipping down, and does it get part of his leg or his arm? But it looked like it slowed up a little bit, and Hannigan able to get over there and throw him out at first base.
Got to be a bit lucky to catch a knuckleballer.
I think you got to be a lot lucky. You just put that glove, you try to hold it back as long as possible.
Here's Scope, gently hit. Wright will throw and will not get him, so it's going to be a base hit for Scope. Barely made contact. He's got himself an infield hit.
That's a perfect bunt, a swinging bunt down the third baseline, just kind of hugs that grass. And the grass here at Camden Yards goes right up against where the foul line is, you can see. So little chance that's going to roll foul. It's not going to roll foul, and the only thing you had, the only chance you had was to right barehand that ball and try to throw him out of first base. One thing the Orioles don't do, and they may do today, but they don't normally do, is run.
Here's Reimold as he takes one up and in for a ball, hitting .297 with 4 home runs. They move him around in the outfield. He's played all 3 outfield spots, mainly left field. The Orioles trailing the Sox by 1 game as we reach Memorial Day. Runner holding, and that's outside.
Now, I mentioned, Dave, the Orioles, they're last in the league in stolen bases. They rely on the home run. Third in the league in home runs, and that's what Buck Showalter likes to see.
Here's the 2-0. And boxed around him, but he can't fight it. Now he does, but it's going to be too late. Scoped down to second base.
After a nice clean first inning for Hannigan, it's become more of a problem here in the second inning handling that knuckleball. Didn't know which way to go with the glove on this one. He had to quickly turn it underneath, and the ball just bounces right off the heel of the glove.
Got to be a pass ball. So a man in scoring position. The Red Sox with a 1-0 advantage. And a strike. Ryan Flaherty on deck. Should have get that far. The count 3-1 on Reimold. Scope at second base, and here it comes from right. And it's ball 4, so that'll put him on at first and second for Flaherty. So 2 base runners coming after back-to-back strikeouts. And we talk about Memorial Day relatively early, but it's a take stock of who you are milepost in the season. 50 games in. This being game number 51. The Red Sox are 10 games over 500. Baltimore just got back from a 3-city trip. They went 4-5. And that went right by, handing it to the backstop. Throw down to third base will not be in time, and both men move up. Scope into third and Reimold into second.
And that's the one thing about this ballpark you have to know as a base runner. The ball, it's cement back there behind home plate. So the ball will carry him back to the catcher. Watch this ball come back to Hannigan after it bounces off that wall. And it actually becomes a much closer play at third base than you would anticipate. So base runners have to know that.
A wild pitch to get 2 men into scoring territory, and the 1-0 inside and downstairs to make it 2-0. Boy, it can turn so fast for a knuckleball guy. Right, trying to get out of it. Here comes the 2-0. 3 balls and no strikes. Caleb Joseph, the on-deck hitter, maybe a moment away from hitting with the bases loaded.
And that time right going to the fastball on the 2-0 count. Couldn't throw a strike with the fastball. There you see the fastball grip. They wanted it outside. It goes way inside, so missing his target by quite a bit.
So Wright has to come all the way back on this hitter. Goes back to the fastball against the native of Portland, Maine. Flaherty out of Deering High in Maine. He went to Vanderbilt University after high school. Has runners at second and third, 2 down, 3-1 to count. He won't chase, and it is outside, and the bases are suddenly loaded for the Orioles. That's back-to-back walks. Carl Willis will march out to the hill.
Yeah, brings up a guy in Caleb Joseph that is 0 for his last 18 and has never faced Stephen Wright.
Red Sox season ticket holders, you can experience the best seats, price, and benefits Fenway has to offer. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, just visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877 Red Sox 9 today. So no place for Joseph, batting just 175. He does not have an RBI this season. He has not hit a home run. So if you're going to be in a jam like Wright is right now, this is the Oriole you want to see. But Wright has to throw a strike. And he's having trouble doing that. It's moving all over the place. drop by Hannigan for ball one.
Yeah, the one up high, we mentioned it last time. The one up high seems to give Hannigan the most problems. It's almost like he's expecting the ball to dip, but it doesn't dip. It just stays upstairs, and that's the one he has a tough time catching clean.
Scope, Reimold, and Flaherty filling up the bases, and that catches the inside corner for a strike to make it 1-1. Oh, for his last 18. Writes 1-1. Now a ball and 2 strikes.
And that ball, a lot of movement back down and in. Just don't know which way it's going to break, whether it's going to break away from the right-hander. This one goes inside. He's swinging right over the top is Caleb Joseph.
A single, 2 walks, a pass ball, a wild pitch in the inning. Can he get out of it? Here's the 1-2. Chopper to the right side. Shaw, the underhand, right gets there, and he does get out of it and leaves them loaded. A walk on the wild side there. Red Sox still in front, 1-0. Red Sox moment honoring the '86 Red Sox season in their 51st game in 1986. The Red Sox won again. They beat the Indians 6-4. Bill Buckner with a 2-run homer off Phil Niekro to power the Sox past the Tribe. Now Niekro, of course, a Hall of Famer, a knuckleballer, but gave more than one manager a lot of white hair. And you and I were talking about this during the commercial break. All the years where Terry Francona was managing Tim Wakefield, how did he do it?
Well, he didn't like it, I can tell you that, because you know it's so unpredictable from one pitch to another, and you just don't know when to get the bullpen going. You know, because as quickly as they go bad, they can go good again. So it's so hard to manage a knuckleball pitcher.
Tim Wakefield won 200 games. Now here's Hernandez in there at third base today. Marco Hernandez hitting .273, no homers, no RBIs. Betts and Pedroia after him. Red Sox with a 1-0 lead. The Orioles just left them loaded as Wright got out of the jam with a ground ball. Cut on and missed. The other thing you and I were talking about before the game is just what a beautiful ballpark this remains here, and how much fun it is to come in here and do a game.
Yeah, it's a great place to work.
With that view, because that's our view right there. With the warehouse out there in right field, Utah Street in front of it. Tapped along the first base line. The pitcher Wilson will get to it, flip, and safe. Hernandez racing up the line, and he beat it.
That's just good hustle by Hernandez. Marco Hernandez getting down that first base line. It's almost like a drag bunt. There's the underhand flip and the foot on the bag apparently. Now, you know, you look at the first baseman and Davis say, why don't you stretch out for this? Well, he's so close to him, he can't really make that read.
Now the Orioles are trying to determine if they challenge this, and Buck Showalter's really taking his time before he tells the umpire Laz Diaz. Take another look.
Let's take our own look at it and see if it could be challenged. Is it in the glove? Might be. Might be. I think it's worth a challenge.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if that one comes back. It looked like the first baseman had secured it before his foot was on the base.
Yeah, that's a tough play for Davis because, you know, when the pitcher gets the baseball, he's so close to you, you can't stretch toward him because there's no way to catch the baseball. So he's got to almost, you know, give him a target outside the first base bag. That's exactly what he did, and I think the throw beat him. I think it's in the glove right there, and then the foot comes down.
I agree with you. The question is it conclusive enough? And they're very quickly coming back and ruling him out. That took inside 10 seconds. So he is out. I think they got it right.
I do too. I totally agree that they got it right. Remember, that glove doesn't have to be closed up. Just has to be in the glove.
So one away. Here's Mookie Betts, who has singled and scored very dramatically the first run of the ball game when no one was home at home plate on a ground ball, little trickler by Xander Bogaerts. The catcher made a terrific play. That's Joseph, but he had to spin way out in front of home plate, and Mookie never slowed down. He came churning in to score and just stole a run. And he is beginning to heat up again after that 1 for 21. Had 2 hits yesterday, another hit today.
Yeah, 4 for his last 10 now. And this time they don't shift on him in the infield.
They hit a ground ball through the right side the first time, and they had 3 men on the left of second. 1-2 the count. Wilson is typically about a 6-inning guy. His last 2 starts have gone 6, but he's lost them both to Seattle and Houston. And a 1-2 to Mookie. Up the middle. And that'll get through for a base hit. He's 2 for 2. So he's definitely come alive with the bat here the last couple of days.
Yeah, it seems to be very soft out in front of home plate, and when this ball bounces, it kind of stops it, slows up a little bit, but still had enough on the second bounce to get by the slide of Machado. And from that kind of slide, even if he catches the ball, there's not much you could do with it. But there's that area in front of the plate that looks awfully muddy to me, and it really slows up the baseball.
DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing right now on DraftKings. Play free daily using promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. Let's see if the Sox have a play on here. With a big hole on the right side, Pedroia the batter. And down into the dirt for ball 1. Pedroia 0 for 1. He was grounded out too short.
Yeah, I'd like to see Mookie stay aggressive at first base. We talked about that in his first at bat. He got to second base and eventually scored. This guy is not very quick to home plate. I think you get a good jump on him.
Fans are starting to get after it, going back and forth in their chants. And there's a looper toward right field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Mookie taking off for third. He's going to reach. So they're on the corners. Pedroia stays hot. First and third with 1 down.
Yeah, 7-game hitting streak now for Pedroia as he goes the other way. Cut fastball toward the end of his bat. You see the little cut right at the end that puts it right toward the end of the bat. And but enough of the lumber to get that ball out into the bloop area out there where there's no position players. And of course, with Betts' speed, he has no problem getting to third base.
Cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Dustin Pedroia owning the longest active hitting streak against the Orioles. Currently a 12-gamer dating back to June of last year. And the Red Sox have something going on now. Xander Bogaerts actually got an RBI because of the alert base running of Mookie Betts. on that swinging bunt of his in the first inning. He'll take it. It was his 29th. And that's inside, ball one. Trying to extend his hitting streak to 23 in a row. The Red Sox have the 2 longest hitting streaks in all of baseball this season. Jackie Bradley's at 29 in a row that ended recently. One man out. 2-0.
That's a pitch that Bogaerts has done a pretty good job staying off of. They're trying a lot of curveballs. We noticed up in Toronto against him, away from him, and he's done a pretty decent job not chasing that pitch. He starts out after it, but he's able to check the swing.
Bogaerts has hit safely in 34 of his last 36 games. A strike. Ortiz on deck. Red Sox 1, Baltimore nothing in the third. Betts and Pedroia aboard, and Pedroia back in. The Orioles thinking there's something going on here.
Yeah, not the straight out steal, but maybe the hit and run, and that's, I think, why the reason they threw to first base to check on Pedroia.
The way Xander is swinging the bat, there's a pretty darn good chance he's going to make good contact. Wilson's 2-1. Hammered down the line. That'll bring in Betts. Pedroia takes off for third. It goes all the way down into the corner. Not quite to the wall. And into second base, Xander Bogaerts, who has not hit safely in 23 consecutive games. And the Red Sox lead it 2-0.
Now, this is what's impressing me about Bogaerts throughout this streak, is he's taking breaking balls that are staying inside and pulling him right down that third baseline. He's done that on a number of occasions, and that's just a great job of keeping your weight back and your hands quick. And that's exactly what Bogaerts is doing right now. Now let's see if they walk David Ortiz this early in the ball game, put him at first base, and take their chances with Bradley. Or will they go after Ortiz? They're in the shift with the infield not all the way in, but most of the way in.
Ortiz took ball 4 in the first inning. Runners at second and third. And the Red Sox once again have strung together 3 consecutive hits. He takes inside, ball 1.
It's one of those situations where they may throw a couple of pitches to David. If they don't throw a strike, they end up walking him after that. Trying to get him to chase something, but he's pretty good about not chasing bad pitches.
Hitting .339, number 3 in the American League. Bogaerts is number 1. He hammers that one foul. Jackie Bradley is 5th in the batting race, so 3 Red Sox in the top 5. Ortiz 405 with men in scoring position. Ortiz belting a home run Saturday in the 9th inning and put the Red Sox in front. The 1-1. Check swing, he barely makes contact. The runners are going to hold, and the catcher Joseph will throw him out at first base. And excuse me, Tapper on a check swing by Big Papi. And a big second out for Baltimore.
Yeah, that's frustrating for Ortiz. You don't even get a good swing with a couple of men in scoring position trying to check his swing on a high cut fastball. And unfortunately for Ortiz, it just rolls out in front of home plate. Look how long it takes Joseph. He just takes his time to look down at third base, make sure there's nothing going on, because he knows Ortiz can't run very well down the line.
2 down, second and third for Jackie Bradley, who hit the ball stiff. A line drive right at Jones, the Gold Glove center fielder, in his first at bat. Red Sox ahead 2-0. Jackie went hitless on Sunday for just the second time in 32 games, although he did draw 3 walks. One of them with the bases loaded in the 6th inning off R.A. Dickey to give the Red Sox the lead.
That was a changeup to Bradley. That's the first one that Wilson has thrown today.
Wilson's 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Dustin Pedroia at third base. Xander Bogaerts at second. Sox trying to put up a crooked number in the top of the third. The 2-0 up the middle. Backhand the throw and got him at first base. So that will retire the side. The Red Sox do get one and have expanded the lead to 2-0 here in Baltimore. To you by USAA. For those who gave everything that we may breathe free, we honor you. And we welcome you back to Camden Yards here in Baltimore. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, and Garrett Austin alongside. The Red Sox have just added to the lead. Although moments ago, Jackie Bradley hitting into the shift, and that cost the Red Sox a chance to get another run or two on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that ball left the bat. It looked like it was going to be up the middle, but Jonathan Scope was over in the shift and able to make the backhanded play on Bradley and save 2 runs.
So 2-0 Boston. The bottom of the third inning. Adam Jones will lead things off. Center fielder 0 for 1. Last time we saw him at Fenway, Jones was in the dugout when he was wearing David Ortiz 500 home run giveaway medallion. Remember that? And then Ortiz blasted a home run and he immediately took it off.
Probably the smart thing to do in Buck Showalter's dugout.
He and David Ortiz are tight. Fouled away. Hyun-Soo Kim on deck, and then Manny Machado here for Baltimore. Remember how they started the season. The Orioles began the season like a runaway locomotive. They went 7-0. And the Red Sox beat them twice. And they wound up losing 4 of their next 5 games, and they kind of came back down to earth.
Now the big surprise, as we talked about, has been their pitching, and in particular their bullpen. Their bullpen has been outstanding.
1-2 right back to the pitcher. Wright snags that and gets him. So Jones is 0 for 2, and Hyun-Soo Kim will be next.
Left fielder number 25, Hyun-Soo Kim.
Well, he hit his first major league home run yesterday against the Cleveland Indians, and here's a look. His teammates were very, very excited for him. They did get the ball back. Showalter said they had to pay a king's ransom, and they gave him the silent treatment inside the dugout.
Yeah, that's very popular in major league dugouts, and then all of a sudden they break out. But they act like nothing happened when you get in there. That's a weird feeling.
0-1 drop by Hannigan, and now 0-2. Right last inning was fortunate to get through the frame without any runs being allowed, because after he struck out Davis and Trumbo, it got crazy. That's in there for strike 3, and right back at it, getting outs. It's the first 2 men in this inning. Well, great to have you with us here on this Memorial Day, and we're certainly saluting all of our men and women who have served the United States and are serving right now. And the ball clubs feel the same way as they're wearing the camouflage today, special uniforms.
Dave, you've got a son that's serving right now, so special day for you, obviously, and your family. And we certainly hope for his safety and whatever his endeavors may be in the near future.
Yeah, thank you very much. My son Mike is 82nd Airborne, so spends his time jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. Perfectly good airplanes and helicopters on occasion. So we're very proud of him. Machado here, he is 0 for 1. He is grounded back to the pitcher. He has hit 13 home runs. To the third baseman, it's Hernandez today, and makes an accurate throw, and that's a swift inning for Wright. He gets him 1, 2, 3. Still 2-0. The Sox have the lead at Camden Yards. Top of the fourth inning, Travis Shaw already in the box and leading off here against Tyler Wilson. Red Sox with a 2-0 lead over the Orioles. Travis struck out in the second inning. He'll be followed by Swihart and Hannigan. Hanley Ramirez with the day off today, but David Ortiz back in the lineup. Shaw, one of 4 different Red Sox with 35 or more RBIs right now, so all of them on a pace for over 100. Red Sox with the top run scoring offense in baseball, and the heater is high.
Fastball followed 2 changeups. The first 2 pitches to Shaw were changeups, and he tried to get him to chase that high fastball, but he wouldn't do it.
The 1-2 is in there, and he knew it. Strike 3 called. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets, has the best seats at the lowest prices, all of the 200% guarantee. Treat yourself for someone special by visiting aceticket.com or by calling 1-800-MY-SEATS. Everybody here today.
You know where I saw a lot of dogs this morning, Dave? In the hotel.
In our hotel?
In our hotel, yeah. They allow dogs. And sitting in the lobby, and they were all taking them out for a walk, you know, their morning walk. And it's kind of weird, you know, to see dogs at your hotel?
Our hotel is, I mean,
Plush.
It's a
Very
high-class place.
Very plush.
I mean, look at the clientele. Line shot, base hit, and Swihart goes to the opposite field. So he's 1 for 2.
That's Swihart now trying to get hot with the bat. You know, try to mix in some hits with that very good defense he's played out in left field. And this time going to the opposite field. He gets that fastball that's running away. That's good hitting. Not trying to pull it. Don't roll over on it. Just go the other way with it and take yourself the base hit to first base.
Sends up Hannigan. He is 0 for 1 with a tapper back to the hill. Red Sox in the lead 2-0 in the 4th. And 5 hits for Boston, just 1 so far for the Orioles against Wright. High pop up. Scope is backing out. Coming on is Jones, and Scope will make the play. 2 down. I love dogs. I'm a big time dog lover. Have a couple, but I leave home to sort of allow my dogs their own space to kind of get away from the dogs.
Yeah.
And that's why I check into a hotel.
Yeah, exactly right. These were all like real, you could tell they were expensive, fancy dogs, you know, that were well groomed and well taken care of.
And had an attitude.
And the way they walk through the lobby, it's like they belong there. You know, it's kind of funny. They belong there more than I do, I can tell you that.
As Marco Hernandez called on a close play on a dribbler on the infield his first time up. Tomorrow night, Eduardo Rodriguez, the young left-hander, will make his Red Sox debut for 2016. That knee that he injured in spring training has healed up, and he's back in the rotation at 7:05. We look forward to that one. Although there is some question about just how hard he is throwing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. And, you know, I go back to the conversation I had with Pedro Martinez about Rodriguez, and he said, you know, he's got to get his legs stronger to get that velocity back. And will this extra time that he's had, did he get him strong enough?
0-1 pitch. Bounding ball to first baseman Davis. And that will retire the side for the Sox here in the 4th. No runs a hit. 1 man left. Still 2-0 Boston. Presented by Quicken Loans, American League leaders in ERA. Quintana, who pitched a great game against the Red Sox in Chicago, at the top at 2.22. How about Rich Hill at 225? He won again yesterday. Sale at 2.29. And then there's Stephen Wright at 252. That's entering today.
Yeah, Rich Hill's a great story.
Really has that curveball humming. Great big yacker of his. He's got 8 wins. Chris Davis to lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Sox ahead 2-0 at Camden Yards. He struck out in the second. Certainly one of the more interesting days of his 7-year major league career came at Fenway back in 2012. You may recall he pitched in a game and he got the win with 2 scoreless innings. I remember him hitting about 90 on the radar gun. The first American League position player to get a win since 1968 with that performance. Here's the 2-0 and a strike.
Yeah, stays with the knuckleball too. Does not give in with the fastball against the power hitter. And a good knuckleball, really dipped quite a bit to the outside corner. Here's the last pitch to Davis.
High fly, but not terribly deep, backing up his bets. And under that for an easy play. They get very excited here in Baltimore every time he connects for a fly ball. They think it's gone.
Yeah, it's like that with all power hitters, right? Every time they lift the ball in the air, the crowd goes crazy. They think it's going to be a home run.
I think it's on a Utah street. Dead & Company kicks off the Plain Ridge Park Casino Fenway Concert Series on July 15th. Plenty of great seats are available. Get yours right now at redsox.com/dead&company. Davis has hit 8 out there in his career. On to Utah. And then they mark the spot with a brass baseball they embed right into the street with the distance on it, the player's name. It's the Griffey All-Star game. Another trickler. That's going to be a fair ball. Hannigan handles it and gets him. And 2 fast outs.
Well, we're seeing a lot of stuff just collapse in front of home plate here this afternoon.
It's a big, strong guy. That's about as gently as he can hit it.
Yeah, hits right on top of a fastball that's down and away. A knuckleball that's down and away from him, and just kind of dribbles out toward that grass area. Hannigan, nice, easy play there as he clears himself with a runner and makes the throw to first base. Very soft in that area.
Jonathan Scope now. He has an infield hit. Pop towards center. Out goes Pedroia. Oncoming Bradley, and Petey will run it down. That's a 1-2-3. Wright breezing in this inning. He has a 2-0 advantage. Check out the video of my wild ride. You want to see a grown man get very close to throwing up in the car inside our Nesson parking lot last week. It's online right now at nessonfuel.com. Yeah, right about there. It's inside a New Hampshire Motor Speedway show car. And we blew a tire.
I like how you had the fist pump out the window after you looked like you were scared to death.
When I knew we were maybe clear and heading back to park. A lot of fun, though. Mookie Betts will lead things off 2 for 2. Pair of singles. He has scored both of the Red Sox runs to this point. To the shortstop. Machado Kind of get used to saying that because it's usually him at third base. But with Hardy out, he has taken over at shortstop, and he's pretty slick there too.
Yeah, actually a shortstop in the minor leagues. J.J. Hardy, the incumbent here in Baltimore, and Machado moving to third base, became a outstanding defensive third baseman. Now back playing some shortstop.
And eventually he's going to be back over there at third, where he's won Gold Gloves, won a Platinum Glove as well. We just saw Arenado with Colorado for a full series. And, you know, we don't get to see the National Leaguers that much as Pedroia takes a strike, but man, can he pick it. I think it's a toss-up with him and Machado.
Yeah, he looked really, really good at Fenway when we saw him making all kind of plays, left, right, in, and just everything, and made him look so easy.
And he's every bit the offensive player that Machado is. Pedroia 1 for 2 with a single. Had a huge double yesterday. Had 2 hits, in fact, and 2 RBIs against Toronto, and he can put his 23-game hitting streak against the Blue Jays to the test again on Friday when they come to Fenway. High fly to center field, and Jones waiting. 2 down. And Bogaerts will be next. He had an RBI double down the left field line his last time up. In fact, he's driven in 2 runs today. First one was in the first inning on a little ground ball out in front of home plate, on which Mookie Betts came racing around and really stole a run for the Red Sox, completely shocking the Baltimore Orioles. The catcher never retreated back to home plate, and Mookie went racing right past him.
Yeah, it was one of those very confusing plays for the pitcher and catcher. Both are going for the baseball. Nobody thinking about covering home plate, and Betts alertly able to score.
0-1 pitch, hammered to dead away center. Jones racing back, still backing up. It sails, and it's off the wall. Jones firing into second base, and a headlong dive for another double for Xander Bogaerts, who just keeps crushing it. He is 2 for 3 on the day. That one almost got out of here.
Yeah, and I thought it was going to get out of here when it left the bat. It had that sound to it, didn't it? I mean, good, solid contact. Again, you know, head discipline on the baseball. Taking it up over the head of Andrew Jones, who tracks everything down out there in center field, but can't get up to that one. And that didn't miss a home run by very much. Head first slide by Bogaerts into second base and bangs his head, looks like against a knee.
271 hits since the start of last year, the most in the majors. 2 more doubles today, and here's Ortiz.
Yeah, once again, first base open. Once again, they choose to pitch to Ortiz.
At their own peril, he's hit 11 home runs here in his last 27 games at Camden Yards. Two down, and a high fly down the right field line, giving chase Reimold, and into foul ground. He'll make the catch. Boy, that was up there all day, but eventually caught for the third out. Red Sox will strand a man at second base, and we're at the midway point. 2-0 Boston. Extra innings live right after the game. TC and Steve Lyons will break it all down. You will also hear from Stephen Wright and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. All season long, when John Farrell's been talking about Stephen Wright post game, he has been praising him. And why not? A .252 earned run average. Hannigan once again taking a shot. Reimold, the batter, rips that line drive. Betts will not be able to get it. It's past him. It's up against the fence. Reimold heading into second base. He staggered a bit, now on his way to third. Here's the throw, and he won't get him. He winds up with 3 bases.
A nice approach by Reimold. You know, last time he faced Wright was the first time he got up in this game and he walked. This time he takes him to the opposite field. Being very patient, waiting back a long time and driving that ball a long way. Betts, who plays a shallow right field, had no chance at that. And all the way to third base goes Reimold.
Now we are getting ready for a Major League Baseball national moment of remembrance here today. Cause to honor Americans who have sacrificed their lives in serving their country. And that is happening right now as fans here at Camden Yards will be standing for this moment of remembrance.
Are proud to observe the National Moment of Remembrance, a nationwide act of unity to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to the United States. Please join us now in a reflective moment of silence. Thank you.
Well, that took place in ballparks all across the country. Red Sox in the lead here 2-0 at Camden Yards. A triple by Nolan Reimold to begin the 5th inning. And brings up Ryan Flaherty, who took ball 4 in the second when Wright got a little bit wild. Walked 2 in a row, but he got out of that bases loaded jam with a ground ball out. Flaherty, the son of the longtime Southern Maine baseball coach Ed Flaherty. He's the number 8 hitter and the 1-0. Ground ball, that's fair with the bag down the line. It'll chase in to run. Reimold scores. Flaherty heading into second base, and he's going to get there standing up. So the Red Sox lead is now 2-1.
Now 2 guys being very patient. Reimold going to the opposite field. Now Flaherty gets one that's way away from him, as you can see. Outside part of the plate and dipping, and he gets a good part of the bat on it and just drives it right down that third base line. So Flaherty picks up only his 2nd RBI of the season, but closes the gap here to 2-1.
And nobody out. The tying run at second base for the 9-hitter Joseph, who is 0 for 1. And Adam Jones is on deck, and the crowd is coming to life here in Baltimore. Inside for ball 1. We talked about Eduardo Rodriguez on the hill tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, it'll be Joe Kelly. And on Thursday, Rick Porcello. The 1-0 and a base hit into right field. Flaherty will advance down to third and stop there. That's 3 consecutive hits off of Wright to begin the 5th inning.
Well, Dave, do you see a difference in approach right now against Wright? Everything is going the other way, so they're telling themselves to stay back as long as possible, just like the catcher says, keep the glove back as long as possible. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Joseph staying back, taking that ball that's away and going the other way with it.
Joseph snapping an 0 for 19 with that single to right field.
Those are pitches that earlier in the game they were trying to pull.
Jones to climb in, not having a great year for himself. He's 0 for 2 in this one, but he's always dangerous. Hitting just .229. Fly into right field, but not terribly deep. Betts will have to back up on it to make the catch. Tagging up Flaherty. He is in to score, and this game is tied 2-2. So Jones does his job with his 22nd RBI.
And once again, going the other way. Getting his job done, keeping the ball off the ground, get it in the air, get the run home, keep the inning alive. I mean, a lot of these pitches are in a good spot to be taking to the opposite field, but the Orioles, I got to give them credit. They're doing a good job, a better job staying back here, this time through the lineup.
Yeah, second and now the third time through. Here comes Hyun-Soo Kim. He's flied out and struck out. He's been swinging a hot bat. He'll take a ball. So Baltimore has battled back to tie it 2-2 here in the fifth. And the 1-0. Darting downstairs for a ball. Hyun-Soo Kim, a big star in the Korean baseball organization. Hit a home run yesterday for the first time in the major leagues, and that one is outside to run the count to 3-0. Reimold started the inning with a triple. Flaherty doubled. Joseph with a single. Jones with a sacrifice fly. One man out. And 2 runs in, and the 3-0 pitch, a strike. Good count for Kim, the 3-1, and outside ball 4.
See, here's where, you know, this is what drives managers crazy. I mean, bullpen has been taxed for the Red Sox the last couple of days, but you really need somebody up because this stuff can go south in a hurry, and it is going south right now.
Now Willis out to the hill here. Came out in the second inning too when Wright was scuffling. After 2 were out, he gave up a base hit, walked 2 men, uncorked a wild pitch. It was also a pass ball, but he settled down after that. And he got 7 consecutive batters before this inning. So you're right, it's a roller coaster.
It really is, and it happened so quickly that, you know, sometimes you don't have time to get somebody up before there's a lot of damage done.
So runners on at first and second for Manny Machado, who's gone 0 for 2. He has his 6-game hitting streak as he takes high ball 1. He started the day hitting .320 with 13 home runs and 29 runs batted in. Here's the 1-0. Flied into right field. Betts drifting back. Runner from second trying to advance into third base, and Joseph gets down there safely with 2 down. Stephen Wright's pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. He's really only had 2 innings where that knuckleball has been dancing too much or into the strike zone too much. Been perfect in the other 3. So really an odd outing in many ways, but for a knuckleballer, not that unusual. Here's Davis. He struck out and flied to right. Runners on at first and third with 2 away. A 2-2 tie. And he'll take a strike. Since the start of 2012, Davis has hit more home runs than anybody in baseball, 169. This ballpark suits him pretty darn well. Here's the 0-1. Ground ball to first. Nice play on the dive by Shaw. He'll get to the bag and get out of the inning. They do, however, get 2 runs. The Orioles have tied this up through 5, a 2-2 game. Sox final presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC and Steve Lyons will preview Eduardo Rodriguez's season debut tomorrow against his old team, the Orioles. Ahead to the 6th inning, tied 2-2. Jackie Bradley showing a bunt but taking a strike. He's 0 for 2 at a liner to center, a ground ball to second, and he's 0 for his last 20 at Camden Yards, which has always been known as an outstanding hitter's park. 1-1. Jackie to be followed by Travis Shaw and Blake Swihart, as we are tied up here in game 1. First of 4. High fly center field. Jones ranging back, headed for the track, still going, and he can't get it. It's gone. What a nice way to snap an 0 for 20 in a ballpark, and that puts the Red Sox back in the lead. Home run number 9 for JBJ.
Now that's a couple in the last few innings we thought were home runs. First of all, the Bogarts one, which ended up being a double. Now this one by Jackie Bradley Jr. even a little bit higher. They wanted that cut fastball up and in. Instead it stays out over the plate, and Bradley takes it a straightaway center field for the home run.
A solo shot to give the Red Sox the lead again against Wilson. That'll send up Travis Shaw, 0 for 2 with a couple of Ks today. And a strike. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Sox home run, Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store near you, pick up your Speedy Rewards card, and start earning points today. Poke the other way, but he'll slice that one foul off into the stands. Cubs game the other day, a fan made a really nice one-handed catch, but in the process he knocked the cap off the gentleman's head in front of him, and it went several rows down below. Diving play here for Davis. He'll feed the pitcher for the out. And then he offered the guy the baseball. He said, "Well, I knocked your cap off. You lost that. You'll never get it back. Here's the baseball." And he said, "No, you keep that." That was a great little interchange there.
And that was a great little play at first base by Davis. Took a base hit away from Travis Shaw.
Travis now 0 for 3. Sends up Blake Swihart, who's gone 1 for 2 with a single. He's also caught looking for a third strike in the second inning. Red Sox in the lead here 3-2. Blake getting regular turns in left field these days. Tried to hold up his swing, and he did, according to third base ump Nelson. Every 2 or 3 games, he's making another really fine play that you don't expect. He tags that one deep to right field. Rimo back to the track. That's going to be off the wall. He's heading into second base, touching second, on his way to third, and he's going to be there with a stand-up triple. That ball ripped by Swihart, his second hit.
Yeah, good solid contact by the Red Sox this inning. Bradley with the home run. The ball Shaw hit was a bullet, and now another bullet by Swihart. That's a changeup right there, and a bad one. It stays high in the zone, and even though you fooled a little bit with your timing, it's so high you're still able to handle it. Gets up over the head of Nolan Rimo. They box it up a little bit out there in center field, and by the time it comes down and it gets settled in a glove, Swihart's on his way to third base. So now the infield comes in for the Orioles.
Swihart just had 2 triples on Wednesday against Colorado. And now comes Hannigan with 1 down, trying to pick him up. Red Sox in the lead 3-2 thanks to the Bradley home run. And looking for more against Tyler Wilson. Inside ball 1. Swihart would figure to be a guy to hit triples with his wheels.
Long look down at the signs. Always the possibility of a squeeze play. Chances are it probably won't happen, but there is that possibility. You have to be aware of it.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Marco Hernandez up next. And they get Dylan Bundy going in the pen. Well, the hits are starting to pile up again for the Sox. They have 8 of them. And a bunch of extra base hits. 2-0, a strike.
Those are the breaking ball on the 2-0 count to Hannigan with the infield in, trying to induce a ground ball.
Bogaerts has 2 doubles. Jackie Bradley with a home run. Swihart now the triple. Infield leaning in here for the Orioles. Only 1 man out. And Blake Swihart off a third. Here's the 2-1 pitch from Tyler Wilson. And fouled right there at home plate.
You're not going to see it now, but you know, we talk about a squeeze, and there's a set of signs that goes from the third base coach to the hitter, and then the third base coach will go to the runner and give him a vocal sign, whether there's a play on or not on. Usually it's a hot word that the third base coach will use. It could be red, could be 0, could be anything, but if he says that word, that means there's a play on.
Two balls, 2 strikes, a man at third, 1 out. Hannigan looking to come through here and pops that one up. Machado racing back and will make the over the shoulder play, and Swihart has to stay put at third base.
It shows the confidence he has in himself as a player, because he made that. I mean, that turned into a pretty difficult play, the over the shoulder catch with a man at third base, where it looked like he could have got himself in front of the ball and just made it more of a routine play, but decides to play it this way, which is the much more difficult way, but he gets the out.
2 hands. Tonight at 10 on NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. Jerry will break it all down Plus a look at Major League Baseball's honoring our service men and women on this Memorial Day. That's tonight at 10 on NESN Sports Today. So the infield back to routine depth here, and it'll be Marco Hernandez, who's gone 0 for 2, attempting to pick up the run. By the way, the starting outfield for the Red Sox today now has 11 combined triples for the season. That's by Memorial Day. And that's Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley, and Blake Swihart, who's now standing at third base. Ground ball charging in. Scope. He scoops and he will get him at first base. So nothing comes to the triple, but Jackie Bradley knocks one out of here. And for JBJ, his 9th in the 6th inning. The Red Sox are back in front, 3-2. Bottom of the 6th inning coming up here on this Memorial Day. Glad you're with us. The Red Sox with a 3-2 lead here in Baltimore on the Jackie Bradley home run. Here's Trumbo. He's certainly capable of tying it with one of his own. He's hit 15, tied for first in the American League with Todd Frazier of the White Sox. And he has a 5-game hitting streak. Wright has gotten him twice on a strikeout and a little ground ball in front of home plate that Hannigan handled. Home plate ump Diaz looking down the right field line, and a ball got loose. Say hello to the DD Perks loyalty program. It's how Dunkin' Donuts shows big time appreciation to fans with great offers and perks. Enroll today at ddperks.com or the Dunkin' Donuts mobile app. Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Two strikes on Trumbo. Scope will follow him, and then Nolan Reimold. Reimold, a guy who tripled and started their 5th inning rally against Wright. His 0-2 pitch. And a foul ball. Just got a piece of that one.
You know, you mentioned Jonathan Scope on deck. In my opinion, he made one of the biggest plays in this game. He was in the shift against Bradley in his previous at bat. Couple of men in scoring position, and because he's in the shift, he was able to backhand Bradley's ground ball, get the out at first base, and the Red Sox couldn't score anymore. At that time, it would have made it a 4-1 ball game.
Well, there were all sorts of forecasts indicating that we were going to get rained on all day today here in Baltimore. It's not that unusual. It always seems to rain here when the Red Sox are in town. A cut and a miss for strike 3, but We caught a nice break. Let's bring in Garrett Austin now here on this Memorial Day. And Garrett, your dad is lifelong U.S. military, correct?
That's right. My dad is actually retired Navy. He did a joint tour with the Air Force, and now he actually works the Pentagon. So growing up, my dad was on a submarine, and he's always been gone. And now that he works the Pentagon, he's still always gone. But I'm so proud of my dad, his commitment to our country, and I'm proud to be part of the military family community.
I love the picture. It's a great photo. You and your pop there.
Yeah, that was me visiting my dad at a base. So anytime I get to see my dad, it's a really special moment for us.
Well, that is wonderful, and our thanks to your dad and your entire family, because as they tell every family where you have a member involved in the service, you're all a military family. Everybody in the family is a member of the service now, and Garen certainly knows that's true.
Absolutely, and same to you, OB.
Oh, thank you so much, and to all of our men and women who are currently serving and have served. Our deepest thanks to you. Jonathan Schoop with a base hit. He's gone 1 for 2.
All of a sudden, that knuckleball back in control for Stephen Wright.
That is the way it goes, right? I mean, you can be rolling along and then it disappears. Your command of it, and the very next inning, you're unhittable. 1-2. Fouled right there at home plate.
It's like we were talking last inning about getting somebody up in the bullpen because it looked like it was starting to leave him. 3 hits in a row, the sacrifice fly, a walk, but then he gets out of trouble and he gets the first out with a strikeout here in the 6th inning.
That bullpen was used a lot in Toronto. Swung on and missed, and he strikes out another batter. So back-to-back Ks of Trumbo and Schoop.
Yeah, it looks like he took a little something off that time too. Not quite as hard with that knuckleball as he normally throws it. A little bit softer and had a tumbling motion on it.
Wright coming into play today, tied for 5th in the American League in earned run average, 252. And trying to give the Red Sox another quality start, which is routine for Steven. Now goes right past everyone to the backstop against Reimold, who has walked and tripled. Red Sox like how their pitching lines up in this series, even though David Price will not pitch here. Wright starting it. Eduardo Rodriguez, a lot of anticipation about his start tomorrow night. Joe Kelly going on Wednesday, and Rick Porcello, who's 7-2 on Thursday. Swing and a miss, and he's on the verge of striking out the side here in the 6th inning.
There again, you know, on that last one, he took something off. It was not the normal speed that we see from Wright. It was a little bit slower.
And the 1-2 coming. Dipping downstairs.
Tried it again. 59 miles an hour that time.
Flaherty up next. If he gets that far, he doubled in a run last at bat. Wright looking for a 3rd consecutive strikeout. Here comes the 2-2. And a high fly ball. He went to a fastball there. And Bradley is there to make the play, and they go 1-2-3. And on this Memorial Day, USAA honors our fallen soldiers. On to the 7th, and Mookie Betts back to work. The Red Sox leading 3-2. And Mookie's had a good day with 2 singles. He has scored 2 runs. He's gone 2 for 3. So he has added to his run scoring total. He came into the day leading the American League in runs scored. Xander Bogaerts is second. Tyler Wilson's pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 3 earned runs, including the home run allowed to Jackie Bradley in the 6th inning. Dustin Pedroia on deck, and the 1-1 to the left side and scooped up by Flaherty. 1 man gone. Time for a game break brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox, and here's TC. Tom apparently has figured some things out because they were getting close to taking him out of the rotation, it felt like. Here's Pedroia. Petey 1 for 3 today. Tolliver, the left-hander, now throwing in the bullpen for the Orioles. Tried to hold up a swing and a miss.
Now you look at the Red Sox lineup today. It's been the Killer Bees that have done the damage. Betts with his speed coming around third base and scoring. Bogaerts with the 2 doubles and an RBI, and Bradley with the home run over the center field fence.
And Stephen Wright is spinning a 4-hitter. That one yanked outside third for a foul strike. 1-2 on Dustin. You and I talked about it before the 6th inning when Wright went out there, how big an inning it was, how important it was for him to get through that unscathed and get toward the 7th inning and still holding on to the lead. That's exactly what he did with a 1-2-3. The 1-2, big swing and a miss, and Pedroia is retired on strikes. And there are 2 away. Sox fans, what is better than bacon and beer? On Sunday, June 12th, you can sample bacon-inspired dishes from over 40 of the best restaurants in Boston and over 30 different beers at Fenway Park. Visit RedSoxFoundation.org/bacon to purchase your tickets. RedSoxFoundation.org/bacon. The answer is, of course, there's nothing better than bacon and beer.
I always thought it was bacon and eggs, but I guess now it's bacon and beer. We didn't have that for breakfast this morning.
You and your dogs in the lobby. Here's Bogaerts now with a couple of doubles. He's gone 2 for 3. Xander just keeps on swinging it. He is making an argument to be the best hitter in baseball right now. He's hit safely in 35 of his last 37 games as he takes a ball. Batting average up to .355, so it's up 4 points today. And he started the day as the #1 hitter in the American League with more hits than anybody in baseball, and now has 75 of those. And a 2-1. All even now on Xander.
It's one of the few times you see him swing and miss at a curveball recently. Usually he's been taking that pitch down and rifling it right down the third base line. But this time, more out over the plate and no contact.
Base is empty, 2 down. Here comes the 2-2. And that one just missing. Another great take by Bogaerts. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
He's an inside-out swinger, so a lot of times those kind of guys are able to hold up the head of the bat.
Wilson with a payoff pitch. Ground ball and foul outside of third. David Ortiz would love to hit in this inning. The Red Sox have a 3-2 lead. We're into the seventh. Craig Kimbrell is available today. He was not yesterday after laboring to throw 39 pitches, a career high in the meltdown on Saturday. The Red Sox bouncing back to win on Sunday in extra innings. 3-2 and inside, so he takes the walk. He's on base for the third time today, and here comes Showalter, and that will do it for his starter. So Wilson is done. The Red Sox with a runner on at first base and up 3-2. They got 8 hits off of Wilson. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Kia, and we'll be back with more in Baltimore right after this. Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Red Sox in front here 3-2. They knock the starter Wilson out of the ball game and bring on Asher Tolliver, a rookie who gets to face David Ortiz right here.
Yeah, he was a Double-A Bowie, just recently called to the big league. You see only making 2 appearances.
A diminutive southpaw to take on Big Papi, who's gone 0 for 2 with a walk, and he takes outside ball 1.
Pretty good fastball, 94 that time, away from Ortiz.
Bogarts just took ball 4. He's on at first base. There are 2 away. Ortiz, the major league leader in RBIs with 46, and that's a strike. That's 94 as well. Tolliver delivers, and it's swung on and fouled back. And that one 95.
Yeah, he's just challenging David right now with the fastballs. 3 straight fastballs to Ortiz.
Ortiz with 13 home runs. He has his sights set on a bunch of records in his age 40 season or older, including the record for home runs is 34. Darrell Evans. Check swing, and that one fouled back.
Hey, look at that scouting report before you go up to face him, and you see the different pitches he's had. Well, all he's seen so far are fastballs. Checking with Chili Davis, going over what this kid has, the scouting report they have on him, what he does against left-handed hitters.
1-2 runner goes. It's outside. Throw down to second. To tag. Safe. Machado had started off the diamond. He was convinced they got him, but Xander Bogaerts ruled safe at second base. So a steal for him.
They're going to hold up a second to see if take a look at their own replay and see if he's going to be out or safe. And it looked to me like the hand was in and the tag was high. Let's take a look. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
They're going to take a look. They're going to review this. So they've already won one. So they get to retain the challenge and have another one under the rules.
And this would be a very big one in a one-run ball game with a take a man out of scoring position.
They're showing it up on the big board here. So we'll see what they say in New York if this gets overturned. He was ruled safe on the field.
Now from that angle right there, it looks to me like the tag was on before the hand got to the bag.
I would agree. I mean, that view seemed to confirm that. Yep. And they're going to rule him out. So no stolen base. Out number 3. And caught stealing for Xander Bogaerts. We're going to stay right here at Camden Yards for a performance of God Bless America here on this Memorial Day. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By your New England Audi dealers. And by Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. Camden Yards here in Baltimore, bottom of the 7th inning. And Stephen Wright with a 3-2 lead. He's tossing a 4-hitter against a very good offense. Certainly in terms of home run power. They have not hit one today. It'll be Flaherty, Joseph, and Jones. So that's 8, 9, and 1 against the knuckleballer, who settled in last inning after a rough 5th. And a routine ground ball. Pedroia to his right will throw him out. Flaherty retired. Let's go down to Garen Austin.
Hey, thanks, OB. Well, last December, Stephen Wright and Heath Hembry had the opportunity to go on a USO tour. They visited 5 military bases, and there were about 6 celebrities. And I talked to both guys, and they said, you know, you have respect for military, but when you go over there and you see what they're experiencing and how they're away from their families and how they are working on these tours of duty, they said you have such a new level of respect. And both guys said it was just such an unbelievable experience, and they're so thankful to have had it.
Stevens becoming a celebrity in his own right. Continues to pitch like this. In there for a strike on Caleb Joseph, who's gone 1 for 2 with a base hit. One of only 4 hits against him.
Mixing in the fastball that time to get ahead. No balls and 1 strike.
Sox do have some bullpen activity for the first time. Tazawa is warming up. He's happy to be out of Toronto. Here's the 0-2. Down into the dirt. Adam Jones on deck. And you start to get into those home run threats. Can be problematic being a pro athlete named Adam Jones. Proven to be for this guy. That one is flied into right field. Driving back Betts, but Mookie's there to make the catch. Tomorrow at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC and Steve Lyons wrap up the Red Sox very successful month of May. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? About 6 years ago, the Orioles went to Toronto for a series, and Canadian immigration officials detained Jones. Case of mistaken identity. They thought he was the troubled NFL cornerback Adam Pac-Man Jones.
I bet that felt good.
He's had a few incidents. This big swing and a miss there. This Adam Jones, an outstanding guy. They love him here in Baltimore. He's been the starting outfielder each of the last 3 years in the All-Star game. The 0-1. The hard-throwing Michael Givens is loosening up. He can really bring it. He's upper 90s. You talked about how good their pen has been.
Yeah, that pen has been outstanding over this last stretch. Starting pitching's been good all season. The pen has really been good.
Zach Britton, their closer, with 14 saves. He's been tremendous. That one will just miss at the top of the strike zone. Red Sox leading at 3-2 in the 7th. Bases empty, 2 down. Hyun-Soo Kim on deck. Boy, another huge cut by Jones. He is up there trying to tie this ball game.
Had the count in his favor, 2-1. He figures he's going to get a strike. Had a big swing at it, but no contact again on the little dancer.
3-2. Now the payoff pitch from Wright. Got a piece of it. Wright coming off 7 really good innings against Colorado. He got the win. The start before that, he went 8 at Kansas City and allowed only 5 hits and 3 runs and took the loss. And the 2 starts before that, a complete game 5-1 gem against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. 3-2. Check swing foul.
That ball might have been a little high, but Adam Jones didn't want to take the chance of letting that go by and have it called a strike by the umpire right at the top of the strike zone. And about halfway through his swing, decided to stop, but by then it's too late. He makes the contact and fouls it off.
In there for strike three, came back with a fastball and shocked him at 85 miles an hour. And Jones wasn't ready for that. That was right through there. 3-2 Boston. The eighth inning in Baltimore, and the Red Sox still on top 3-2 for Big Papi, who was at the plate when Xander Bogaerts was thrown out trying to steal in the seventh inning. Bradley next, and then Shaw. Red Sox trying to add on, and a big shift for David as he takes the ball. Look at Scope, and then they take Flaherty and they move him all the way into fairly deep right field.
Yeah, he's playing like it's like they're playing an extra man in a softball game.
2-0, a strike.
One advantage for Ortiz here. He did get a chance to see a couple of pitches last inning from Tolliver. I don't know if that's going to help him at all, but at least he's got an idea what the fastball velocity looks like.
Lefty's 2-1 and fouled away. Another strong performance out of Stephen Wright. He's gone 7 innings again for the third consecutive start, and for the fourth time in his last 5 starts. He's become a rock. Here comes the 2-2. Line shot. It stalled at foul. The umpire, Corey Blazer, got out of the way in a hurry.
That's exactly what I was talking about. By getting a chance to get a look at maybe 3-4 pitches in his last at bat before Bogaerts got thrown out, you know, Ortiz was able to gauge the fastball. That time he was out ahead of it.
David has a 6-game hitting streak. The 2-2. There's a drive. Sucked to right. Rising up and gone. Big Papi with number 14. Jerry, when you said he was gauging it, you were onto something. His 47th RBI, leading the big leagues.
I'll tell you what, I don't think he was looking for it, but he got his first breaking ball. He saw a couple of changeups from him. He saw a bunch of fastballs. He had his fastball gauged. Now he tries to slip that breaking ball by him, and Ortiz uses his fastball swing and takes it out of the ballpark.
I'm telling you, David is so smart at the plate. Not only talented, but smart.
And I really believe that seeing the 4 pitches from somebody you've never seen before last inning helped him.
Jackie Bradley has already ripped a home run. He's also lined out hard to center. He's had a couple of nice swings. So number 517 for David Ortiz, and that gives the Red Sox a 4-2 lead. So you think just having seen him throw a handful of pitches,
absolutely,
the at bat before,
you know, you can read all the scouting reports you want, and they do that. So you have an idea what he has, but until you see it yourself and you can measure how hard you've got to swing, what the fastball looks like to you. And it wasn't a fastball he hit for a home run. I'm not taking credit for that, but he got a breaking ball, but he got a fastball swing on it.
High twisting pop into left field, charging on Kim, and into foul ground. He'll make that play. You go back to that iPad shot.
Yeah, now see, this is before his first at bat against him last inning, and they're looking. There's all kind of things there. First of all, it's what the pitcher throws, and then it's what he does against left-handed hitters, what he does against right-handed hitters, what his strength is, what his weakness is, and you get that information. But I'm telling you, it's not worth anything until you get up to the plate to face a guy.
Travis Shaw now, he's 0 for 3, 2 Ks and a ground out. So you also get a feel for what a guy likes to do, you know, sequence-wise.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now David just crushed it.
And the interesting thing about that, Obi, is the fact that that was the first slider that he threw him. He threw him all fastballs and a couple of changeups. And the first time he tried to sneak the slider by him, it's not happening.
Joseph, the catcher, really got drilled here and needs some attention as Showalter comes out.
Well, no need to analyze that.
Or to show it again.
No, we pretty good idea.
Yep.
And I'm not so sure what the trainer can do about it either.
Absolutely nothing. That's fascinating when you think about sequences like that. And even though Ortiz had not seen the breaking ball, hadn't seen anything with a wrinkle in terms of, you know, curveball or slider, is he looking for it there?
I don't know if he was looking for that pitch there, but he had his fastball velocity down, and I think that sped up the bat when he threw him the breaking ball. I think Ortiz was looking fastball. I'd be surprised if he said he was looking for a slider because he hadn't seen one yet.
Right.
But he had the fastball gauge. He knew what the velocity was going to be, so he put the same swing on. It just happened to be a breaking ball that stayed inside. It's amazing.
And out it goes to give the Red Sox a 4-2 lead. You follow Red Sox baseball live with the MLB.com at bat app. Stay up to the moment with Game Day, live game video highlights and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet today. And Joseph on his feet. Yeah, that's about all the trainer can do. Kind of pat you on the chest protector.
Yeah.
And you go get him. On a foul tip. Down 0-2 on Travis. Base is empty, but the Red Sox with a huge 4th run up there. Home runs by Jackie Bradley and David Ortiz. And both of those solo shots to lead off an inning. JBJ in the 6th inning and David Ortiz moments ago here in the 8th. .47 RBIs already for David Ortiz. Here comes the 0-2 pitch from the left-hander. Blake Swihart, the on-deck man. One man away. He checked. and did not swing, according to Nelson at third base. Big crowd here today, 43,926 at Camden Yards. Inside again to make it 3-2. Now due up in the bottom of the 8th inning, Hyun-Soo Kim, Manny Machado, and Chris Davis, but none of them have a hit off of right, as that is outside for ball 4. And nobody warming up right now in that bullpen for the Red Sox. Fans, don't miss NESN Live tonight at 5:30. NESN Live presented by Cross Insurance.
Now, you know me, Dave. I mean, here's where I say keep the pressure on. I mean, you get Swihart at the plate. Why not try a little hit and run? You don't need speed at first base.
Swihart has singled and he has tripled today. He's gone 2 for 3. Runner holding across for strike 1.
The only problem you have is the fact that Swihart hasn't seen Tolliver.
One out, one on for the Red Sox, and poke foul.
And they can eliminate that play now. No balls and 2 strikes. I'd be easy to manage against because you know exactly what I'm going to do. By now, we only worked 2 months together. You know what I'm going to do.
You want to go, baby.
I want to apply pressure.
But I think this is a team you can do that with.
You can.
And the Red Sox have shown they can do that. 2-strike pitch and a line drive, base hit. How about that? A 3-hit day for Swihart. Shaw up and into second base.
Well, we messed up because we highlighted Swihart's defense in the view from the booth today. It should have been in the offense because he's had a big day.
2 singles and a triple. And Buck Showalter out of the dugout.
Swihart getting that line drive, a little bit off balance on that swing, but the line drive to left field for the base hit.
So they will go to the bullpen again for the second time today. Red Sox building a threat already with a run across here in the 8th and on top 4-2, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Two-part Red Sox report. You can reflect on the career of Hall of Famer Wade Boggs. Don't miss this week's Red Sox report tomorrow night at 5 o'clock on NESN. And the flame-throwing right-hander Gibbons coming on. He leads the Oriole relief corps, and he is 6th among American League relief pitchers with 31 strikeouts.
That's in 21 1/3 innings too. That's pretty impressive.
So Hannigan knows what he's going to get with runners at first and second and 1 down. He has gone 0 for 3. He's grounded to the pitcher, popped to second, and popped to short. In the inning, a home run, a walk, and a single. David Ortiz hammering a breaking ball out of the ballpark for his 14th home run.
He dropped down to the side that time with the fastball from Gibbons. He's been down to the side with both his fastball and slider for the first 2 pitches.
Shaw the runner at second and Swihart the runner at first base. Sox have hit very well over the last few innings, and they're up to 10 hits on the day. Looking to add on here in the 8th inning. And Gibbons with a 2-1.
Yeah, I'd have been fooled on that too. You know, I'd have bet the house that he got a fastball on that pitch. He did not. He got the breaking ball on the 2-1 count, and very defensive swing there by Hannigan. Expecting fastball all the way in that situation, did not get it.
Here comes the 2-2 from Gibbons. And popped him up on the infield. And there's Flaherty to put that one away with the infield fly in effect. 2016 CVS Health Charity Classic. Don't miss it. It is featuring Grammy award-winning Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence on June 28th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Charity Classic Fenway. Here's Hernandez, who's gone 0 for 3. Red Sox leading 4-2, 8th inning. .94 right down the middle for a strike. Hannigan actually got a steady diet of breaking pitches. And Gibbons with an 0-1. That one's sucked to right field. Carrying way back there. Raimel looking up, and that one is off the top of the wall and out of the ballpark. Marco Hernandez launching one. His first career home run. And it's a 3-run shot and an absolute shocker here at Camden Yards.
How about that? Good for him. I mean, he gets a chance on a day where they want to give Hanley Ramirez a day off, and he gives him one of the biggest hits of the day. Good for him.
7-2 Boston. And off one of the harder throwers among relief pitchers in the American League, and he just torched it. Second home run of the inning for the Red Sox.
Let's take a look at the pitch. I believe it was a fastball. They set up inside. Yeah, it is a fastball at 94 and right into the wheelhouse of Marco Hernandez. That's a good pitch right there. Good location for a left-hander to hit. Wow.
Take a look at where this one landed. Just had enough to get it on out of here.
Yeah, right on the top of the shelf.
And Mookie Betts, who's gone 2 for 4, he'll pop that one up. Out goes Scope. Reimold in and makes the play to retire the side. David Ortiz started it with a blast off the lefty. And then Hernandez with a 3-run shot off the right-hander. And the Red Sox lead at 7-2. Coming up at Foxwoods Resort Casino coming up on June 3rd. Al Pacino, Nick Walenda's Circus on July 4th, starting on the 29th of June, and on July 2nd, Hollywood Vampires. What a great moment for that young man, Marco Hernandez. His first home run, a 3-run shot here to open it up for the Red Sox in Baltimore, 7-2. Red Sox scoring 4 times in the inning with 2 blasts, and David Ortiz had the other one to lead off the frame. So plenty of breathing room now for Stephen Wright, who has been outstanding again through 7 innings, just 4 hits. He gave up 2 runs in the 5th inning, and that's been all. And what could be a day off for the bullpen as we go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Hyun-Soo Kim has gone 0 for 2 with a walk.
That'd be huge if they could give the bullpen another day off. You know, today they could really use it.
Machado and Davis will follow him as that one is socked to left field down the line, and a foul ball. For the Red Sox, 7 runs on 11 hits, 3 home runs today.
Almost picking up some chalk, but clearly in foul territory.
Kim with his first major league home run on Sunday against the Cleveland Indians. And Marco Hernandez with his first career home run at the big league level here today. The 2-1 will drift down and in. So 99 pitches for Wright. He has walked 3 men today. The 3-1. Stabbed by Shaw. He'll take it to the base, and that is out number 1. Tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Steve Lyons preview Eduardo Rodriguez' season debut against the Orioles. That'll be against his former team. Here's Machado now. He's gone 0 for 3. Very quiet day for him. He hasn't had many this season. Began the day hitting .320 with 13 homers. Hammered. A nice stab by Hernandez, but now Bobble will throw, and he'll get him anyway. Kind of day he's having.
Yeah. You know, Dave, I was thinking between innings, when you're winning baseball games like this, a lot of people have to take, you know, a lot of credit for it, but there's also players who don't play very much who want to be part of it. And when you get an opportunity like Hernandez did today, I mean, that's huge, you know, because everybody's in a good mood, a good frame of mind. You're winning baseball games, you're in first place, and everybody's taking part in it. And so everybody's having a good time. You sit Hanley down for a day, give him a rest, you put Hernandez in, he comes in with a big home run.
There's Davis here, looks at a strike.
Shaw's played a great first base over there today. He's had some big plays.
And the Red Sox swinging the bats again. With 3 home runs, Jackie Bradley, David Ortiz, and the unexpected one by Marco Hernandez. And the 0-2. And that's strike 3. A 9-pitch inning. So Wright in position perhaps to go all the way today. A 7-2 Red Sox lead. brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Red Sox with a healthy lead here as we go to the 9th inning. 7-2 here on Memorial Day. Looking to take a 2-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles. Mookie Betts has had a nice day with a couple of hits. Xander Bogaerts has 2 doubles. David Ortiz has a home run. Jackie Bradley a home run. Blake Swihart has 3 hits. And Marco Hernandez has hit his first major league home run, and he made it a 3-run shot to really open things up here.
A lot of questions on Twitter between innings. Will Marco Hernandez get the baseball? Yes, he will. They will make some type of deal with whoever got their hands on that baseball out there to get that souvenir for him.
Pedroia 1 for 4 as he knocks a foul.
It may take a David Ortiz bat. There's a lot of different options you have as a fan if you get somebody's first home run.
I have a feeling whatever option is involved, it will have Ortiz as part of it.
Yeah, I would say so, and they'll get it.
Wonderful moment for him at the start of a 4-game series against the team that is chasing the Red Sox at the moment. Bogaerts will be looking for another 3-hit day in a moment. Fouled away the fastball at 96. Last time we saw Givens, he was throwing about 97, 98.
Now you mentioned that, Dave, and it looks like his velocity may be down a few touches here, down to 96. And I can tell you, it makes a big difference. Just a few miles an hour.
We saw that the other day with Kimbrel in Toronto.
Yes.
You know, the deeper he got into that outing, dropping from 98, sometimes 99, then it was 96. And all of a sudden some balls were getting squared up. And Craig is available today. May not be necessary.
That would be nice.
Down and away. 3-2.
Give him an extra day, after so many pitches 2 days ago. If Wright can go the distance here, to give him an extra day off would be very big for the Red Sox for the remainder of the series.
3-2. Hammered foul outside of third base. The last 2 road starts for Wright, he's tossed a complete game. In Kansas City, there's an 8-inning complete game. The start before that at Yankee Stadium. The road start before that. Here comes the 3-2. And missing down, low ball 4. So Pedroia reaches. It's our game summary brought to you by Xfinity. Big inning for the Sox was the 8th when they scored 4 times. Right so far through 8 innings, 7 Ks. David Ortiz, number 14. Marco Hernandez, his first career home run. Wilson pitched all right, 6 2/3 as the starter for the Orioles. Gave up 3 earned runs. Marco reliving the moment for Stephen Wright there. Called strike on Xander Bogaerts, who has a good day going here with a couple of doubles, 2 RBIs. He's also taken ball 4, hitting .355. We are in the 9th with nobody out and a man on. 0-2. Ortiz has come to the on-deck area after homering in the 8th. Now 12 home runs in his last 28 games at Camden Yards. For Big Papi. Here's the 0-2 to Xander. Popped up, foul ground, Davis. That's the first out. Get expert emergency care without leaving the ballpark at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the first aid station located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. Visit bidmc.org. Some of the Oriole fans have headed for the exits here given the scores, so you can hear a lot more of the Sox fans. And David comes up to bat. And he'll take ball one.
And the Red Sox fans yelling Poppy, 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 and the Oriole fans booing.
The 1-0 pitch in for a strike.
Back-to-back sliders to Ortiz. One down and in, one outside part of the plate.
David has also homered 7 times in his last 10 games here. So they can't wait for him to retire. 1-2 back to his home run cut.
Sees the left hand against the breaking ball from the left-hander. And the ball was left middle in, and that's a dangerous spot to leave it to David Ortiz.
One down and one on. The 1-2 and swung on and missed. Down he goes, strike 3. So David is retired.
Did not see a fastball that hold it back. All breaking balls from Gibbons.
And now Jackie Bradley, who's gone 1 for 4, belting a home run in the 6th inning. He's also lined to center, grounded to second, and flied out to left. And he'll take ball 1. Parents, are you looking for a fun and educational baseball site for kids? Visit NessonClubhouse.com. Special teaching videos, their games. Learn more about your favorite player on the Red Sox. It's fun, free, and easy to use. Visit NessonClubhouse.com today. A ball and a strike on Jackie. He had been hitless in his last 20 at-bats at Camden Yards before belting that home run to center in the 6th inning over the head of Adam Jones. And Gibbons with a 1-1.
Jackie Bradley back in the 6th inning, getting a cut fastball. That stayed up in the zone a little bit. That he takes to center field up over the head of Adam Jones. Number 9 on the season.
3 balls, 1 strike. Travis Shaw hoping for a chance to hit in this inning. He is on deck. Sox have come here to Camden Yards and they have out-hit the Orioles 11-4. And thanks to Stephen Wright, they have bested them at what the Orioles do best, and that's hit home runs. And that's going to be outside. So Jackie will take the walk after walking 3 times yesterday in Toronto. 1st and 2nd. And here comes Travis Shaw, who walked his first time up. Two men on and 2 men out. Fans, are you on Instagram? Do you follow NESN? Well, you can stay up to date with your favorite sports network and teams by following us today. Just visit Instagram.com/NESN and follow right now. Two men aboard. Shaw 0 for 3 with the walk and a run. And he'll look at strike 1. Red Sox knocked the starter Tyler Wilson out of the game in the 7th inning with 1 down. And would score 4 times in the 8th inning on a pair of home runs. A 1 pitch pop foul out of play. No activity in the Red Sox bullpen. Stephen Wright looking for a complete game. And the 0-2. Check swing foul. That one quickly got in the stands. Two strikes on the batter, Travis Shaw. And Gibbons fires home. And cut on and miss for strike three. Shaw fans for the third time today. And the Red Sox strand two, but they have 7. And Wright heading back out there, trying to tie this one up. Plus has the National Lacrosse Championship game this Saturday night at 9. For your local NESN Plus channel, make sure you visit NESN.com/NESN Plus. So Stephen Wright looking for a complete game. He already has 2. If he gets a third, he would join Johnny Cueto, Clayton Kershaw, and Chris Sale tied for the major league lead in complete games. Some pretty decent company. He has allowed 2 runs on 4 hits and has a 7-2 lead. Looking to tie the ribbon on this one, and here's Trumbo. He has gone 0 for 3, 2 Ks and a ground out today. Wright has done a great job keeping most of those big bats from doing any damage at all. Davis is 0 for 4. Machado is 0 for 4. Adam Jones is 0 for 3. Hyun-Soo Kim is 0 for 3. The 2-0 pitch will drift down and away. So count 3-0 on Trumbo. And he's taking, and that is ball 4. So he's walked 4 men. Step up your hockey game with Bruins Academy. It's an all-new show just for kids who love the game of hockey. Don't miss an all-new episode Saturday at 12:30. Catch up on previous episodes. You can visit bostonbruins.com/Bruins Academy. Red Sox leading is 7-2 here in the 9th inning. And a base runner for Baltimore in front of Scope, who's gone 1 for 3 with a single.
They couldn't get the fastball over, so he goes back to the knuckleball, gets that over for a strike.
Tazawa was warming about an inning ago. Looks like he's getting up again. A big cut and a miss by Scope. He was going for the downs.
That's one of those swing hard in case you hit it. Maybe I'll hit it a long way.
Tazawa getting going again. Here comes the 0-2. Red Sox scored first here today. They got a run in the first inning, another in the third, another in the 6th, and 4 in the 8th inning. 3 of those on a Marco Hernandez first major league home run. 1-2 right to the shortstop. Bogarts to Pedroia. 1 on to first. Double play. 2 down in the 9th inning.
I was a little worried there when Bogarts went underhand. I was wondering if they were going to have time to turn over the double play, but Pedroia, you'll see he'll come across the bag, and that allows him to turn it over. Looks like Bogarts had a little bit of little trouble getting it out of his glove on the shuffle, but did get it to him, and Pedroia does the rest. You see that ball up in the heel part of the glove.
Is Reimold. He has walked, triple, and fly to center. Wright trying to make him the last man to hit today for Baltimore. 2 down in the bottom of the 9th. Red Sox with a 5-run lead. And looking like they have steadied the ship after that Saturday defeat in Toronto. Coming back and winning at 11 yesterday, and now a sizable lead here in the 9th inning. And Wright on the verge of another complete game. Here's the 1-1 to Reimold. A victory would give the Red Sox a 2-game lead over Baltimore in the division. Here's the 2-1 home. And off the mid of Hannigan.
Yeah, it looks bad for the fans because Hannigan didn't catch it, but the fact is it was a strike when it went across the plate.
Makes it 2-2. Not too many bumps in the road for Wright today. Looking to finish this one to 2-2. Down into the dirt. So he's gone full on Reimold.
You still get beat up back there on a ball in the dirt. Comes off the hand, the right hand of Hannigan.
3-2 pitch, and he missed with it for ball 4. Came back with a fastball, but he walked him. So Reimold is on with 2 away in the 9th inning, and Flaherty will step up. He doubled in a run back in the 5th inning. He has gone 1 for 3. So Tazawa still throwing out there in the bullpen. Wright wants to keep him right there. And fouled right there at home plate for strike 1. Seven runs, 11 hits for the Red Sox, 2 runs, just 4 hits for the Orioles. It's a new career high for Wright at 119 pitches. And you would bet that if Flaherty should reach here, Tazawa would come on in.
I totally agree, Dave. I don't think they're going to let him go much beyond that 120 just to finish this one out.
He's been awfully good again today. That one will escape Hannigan and go to the backstop, and up and into second base. Reimold. Called it a wild pitch. Red Sox looking to put this one into the win column and enjoy the evening here in Baltimore. This is the 3rd consecutive day game for the Red Sox. We'll play under the lights here at Camden Yards tomorrow with Rodriguez on the mound. To the first baseman, and that will do it. Shaw gathers that, and the Red Sox win it as Wright goes all the way. His 3rd complete game. The Red Sox 7, Baltimore 2, and the day really belonging to a couple of men as they will do the dance again in center field. Certainly Stephen Wright, and the other guy Marco Hernandez. TC his first major league home run, and what a spot to do that in the 8th inning.